JuJu Watkins has a lot to live up to because she's really being hyped right now. And not that she doesn't deserve it. I don't want this to come across like any shots JuJu's way, but it feels like the machine, if you will, is being put behind her because there needs to be the next Caitlyn Clark or, the next star up. And trust me, I want more stars. There's nothing I want more than more stars. It's good for what I do. And there are plenty of stars in women's college basketball and women's hoops in general. And that next generation, I think, is much bigger than the previous generation. So when you are talking about Paige Beckers or JuJu Watkins or Flau'jae Johnson or whomever else may emerge, I do think they are bigger stars than those who came before. But you have to remember how singular a star Caitlyn Clark is. And I think that's where this gets a little dicey at times because it's not so easy to just be Caitlyn Clark or the next Caitlyn Clark. Clark not only set the record for the most points ever scored in NCAA history, she led the nation in points and assists her last year. Then she went to the WNBA and produced more points than anyone ever did in a rookie season or a season period. So that's a extremely high bar, not to mention the natural, organic, explosive popularity. Setting that expectation for anybody is tough. And it seems like JuJu is the one that everybody selected. Obviously, it makes sense because she did break the freshman scoring record. But you see this piece that was published. You could be looking at a multiple MVP winner. She's going to carry a franchise. Besides Caitlyn, she's definitely the next most exciting prospect. That's the one you're waiting for. Why JuJu Watkins is the next best thing in college hoops and beyond from Alexa's ESPN article there, which you can check out. And the way they promoted it in a separate tweet, a separate post, also, gave a lot to live up to for JuJu because they put out that she had snatched the torch. The center of college basketball universe has shifted from Iowa City to Los Angeles, and JuJu Watkins has snatched the torch. I mean, I think JuJu still has to go head-to-head against Hidalgo in Notre Dame this weekend. That's going to be an interesting showdown. How does USC respond to that test? Again, Paige Beckers is really the next up because she's going to be the number one pick in the WNBA draft. And I'll shout it from the mountaintops, but Flau'jae, I think Flau'jae is super talented. And to me is the most exciting player to watch. She still has to prove it over a larger load, if you will, a share of the offense in a bigger role against better teams. They have only played cupcakes thus far. But Flau'jae has that star power and charisma, both off the court and on, that I don't think you can really teach. So all I'm saying is this is a lot that's being placed on the shoulders of JuJu Watkins. And her coach, Lindsay Gottlieb, had sought Clark's advice about this. And Clark was very kind, saying, JuJu's great. She's so good. And she'd be happy to help. She's going to have the focus on her for many years. And she is. And that's JuJu can't enter the draft for a couple years. So we really are going to follow her and see just how good she is. And maybe she lives up to all the hype and exceeds it. I am rooting for her. I'm just saying these things don't happen because of words that are typed into a keyboard. They don't happen because of wishful thinking. Now, JuJu has been the recipient of that because of what she's produced on the court. There's no question about it. But the idea that somebody is going to be what Caitlyn Clark was at Iowa and then into the WNBA, that is a tough thing to reach and grab and just snatch. And to say she snatched the torch, I do think her peers have the ability to compete with her as well. And we will see as this college basketball season winds up and continues just where that hierarchy falls. But it's exciting. That part of it is exciting to me to see, all right, how much better is Paige than everybody else? Or how much better is JuJu than the next wave of players? Is she better than the next wave of players? How does she do head-to-head against Notre Dame? How does Flau'jae emerge on the scene? And does that change things? Like, these are all fascinating things. And that's good for women's college basketball. That's good for women's basketball, period. I do believe women's hoops will never be the same. Caitlyn Clark was a change agent in that regard, and there are new great stars who all deserve shine, all deserve to be promoted. The only thing I'm saying is I don't know if it's going to be as easy to just say this is the one, right? Because I think there are a lot. And That may be better for the sport overall because the one is already in the WNBA. It's not, yeah, and the NBA always search for the next Michael Jordan or the next face of the league. They're still doing it now. The next face of the league. You hear it all the time. Who's going to be, and I've seen it, Luka was a candidate. He's not an American player. Anthony Edwards is a guy that a lot of people try to make that because he's charismatic. Obviously, after Jordan, it took till really Shaq and Kobe before there was anything that captured the imagination even close to the same. Then LeBron and then Curry. You have had these figures, and there will be more. There will be, I don't want to say another Caitlyn Clark per se, but there will be another transcendent star. But those players are not ordained, is I guess all I'm saying. They're not, you can't just say it's going to be Harold Miner was called Baby Jordan coming into the NBA, and we all know that didn't work out. Now, I'm not saying that is JuJu Watkins by any means. She's already proven she is a bona fide prospect and super caliber player. So I don't get it twisted. But I do think when you put that label on someone and say they are the next one, that brings with it extra pressure, extra expectations. And personally, I have not seen enough from Watkins to separate her from the field in that regard, where I know she's head and shoulder. Like, is she better than Paige Beckers? Now, no problem if she's not, because she's younger. That she could very well be better than Paige Beckers, but is she now? Is she definitively better than Hidalgo or Flau'jae or some of these other players? I think we're going to get the answers to all those questions. South Carolina produces studs all the time too. Sarah Strong is a freshman at UConn now. There are a lot of talented young women out there. And when those players go from college and go to the WNBA, that is going to change the entire landscape. I think that Olympic team in 2028 is going to be something else. When you do have Caitlyn and JuJu and Paige and Angel and Aaliyah Boston, perhaps, and whoever else emerges on that same squad, that's going to be the new face of the game. And I think a face of the game, faces of the game that are going to excite fans even more than we've already seen. But it's tough to put a expectation on someone to be what we had never seen before. And we are seeing things we've never seen before in women's college basketball, and there are a lot of stars. It's just tough to say that any of them have snatched the torch.